This is the Astros Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Houston Astros, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's a pretty stinky way to lose today for the Houston Astros. It's a couple of things can be true. You're a little bit unlucky, and you weren't good enough to win today. And that's what happened, is they drop a series to one of the worst teams in baseball, the Chicago White Sox, today, in a rain-shortened finale. And in large part, the rain becoming a huge factor because that game took way too long to play. What a slow-moving game. But when you go back and analyze it, it's because there was a lot of guys on the base paths for both sides because neither starting pitcher really wanted to keep them off of the base paths today. And that's why this game took forever to get to the point that it did. And then once you got through that point, well, here comes the rain, and the Astros bullpen doesn't do its job today, which it has done an incredible job of doing so far this season. And here you go. The Astros are losers in the finale to, again, a very bad baseball team. Hello and welcome today to the Locked On Rockets. This isn't the Rockets. I've got Rockets on the brain already because we're going to do Rockets later. Game 7 tonight. We'll get to that later. But the Astros, the Locked On Astros Postcast today. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LockedOnMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. There's no way to cut this thing. It stinks. You know, we'll get to Lance McCullers here in just a minute, but the number one thing that you're walking away from this one talking about is probably this one play more than any.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Ort comes into the game there, and not Ort, excuse me, why am I saying Ort? Ort was at the very end. Ryan Gusto comes into the game, and the Astros, have an error there. And that error leads to a bunch of runs eventually coming in. Now, is it all on that error? Why those runs came in? No, of course not. It is a byproduct of it. The pitcher's job, and I think we do this when we're talking about situations like this too often, as we forget the pitcher's job is still to get the outs. As crazy as that seems. Let's just run back, through that inning real quick as I'm pulling up the pitcher by pitcher, or the batter by batter occurrence there in the sixth inning, excuse me. Why is this not pulling up? This is awesome. I love MLB's website. It's just the absolute worst. Seriously, they do a terrible job with their website. Gusto comes in, get him the clean inning. Vargas pops out to Christian Walker for 1 out. Benintendi, of course, reaches on the fielding error by DeZenzo, dropping the ball. And it feels like the wheels start to come off after there, of course. Luis Robert walks. Cuero singles. So you've got Benintendi to third, Robert to second. You got the bases juiced. Get the mound visit. Andrew Vaughn flies out to left. There's 2 outs. And then, of course, you go ahead and walk another guy. That's something that you can't do. You walk in a run there in Josh Rojas. And, of course, you leave the door open. And what happens? Single, drives home a couple more. That gets you to 4-3. And then, of course, the following inning, Okert goes out there and gives up he came in, finish out that inning against Michael A. Taylor, gets the strikeout. Luis Robert, look, it wasn't even the worst pitch in the history of time. You go back and look at it. I'm watching the pitch right now that Okert threw to Luis Robert to tie the baseball game. It's down and away, and he goes and flicks it out there to center field. I mean, it is paint down and away. It's a great pitch, and the hitter just sometimes makes a swing on it and ties it up. And then, of course, Okert gives it up on the single there by Cuero to score Robert, and that is the baseball game. That's something that we've not seen. Okert this season has been spectacular out of the bullpen. He's been a guy that has, gone out there and really done his job basically every single time that they've handed him the handed him the baseball, called his number out of the bullpen. And today it didn't happen. And, I have to remember that as somebody that sits here and does these shows. I also have to, remember that as a baseball fan in general, that they're not going to be perfect every day like we want them to be. They are human beings that make mistakes. I mean, hell, I was doing something this morning, in my life, and I went out and made a mistake. Just move on to the next play. It is what it is. Happens. As long as everything keeps going in the same direction, you're going to figure it out. But they today did not have a great day out of the bullpen. Set themselves up into spots where, you give the other team a chance to execute in those moments, and the credit to the White Sox, taking advantage of your poor lack of execution, they clawed back in it real quick. Because, look, for as many opportunities, because like the Astros, they had a ton of opportunities today. Both teams did. Like I mentioned, both teams put guys on base. Astros had 9 hits today. The White Sox had 7. The White Sox also drew. How many walks did the White Sox draw in this game off of Lance McCullers? They drew. They ended up. Why is this? I was telling you, I hate MLB. The White Sox drew 6 walks today, so they had a ton of guys on base. Astros were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They left 7 men on. White Sox were 4 for 13, which is better than the Astros, and they left 10 men on. So both teams ample opportunities. Maybe that's the most frustrating part, is that even the Astros standpoint, they had a ton of opportunities as well that they did not cash in on. But you typically hand this team, against a team like that, the White Sox, a 4-0 lead. And yes, they had to go to the bullpen super early because McCullers was just today at best. And there was a lot of ground to cover, and it's cold, and it's windy, and it's all those things there in Chicago, and things go south quickly. It happens like that. You see it. And they're walking away, and it's going to be a series that they'd look back on in a season where the margins this year are going to be slimmer than they've ever been for the Astros in the American League West, because they don't have a clear-cut, massive talent advantage anywhere against any of the teams inside of the division. They're 3 games out at the moment in the division because they're 17-16. They've got I'm looking now, the A's ahead of them, and then the Mariners, who actually are putting up runs this season and can pitch, are winning games at the moment. We'll see how long that lasts. And then you always have the Rangers back there lurking as well. The Astros margins are slim. Slim. And these are series at the end of the year. If they miss by like a game or 2, you're going to look back and go, man. And now, again, this is the bad luck side of it. Remember that rain-shortened game in Chicago that you lost? Yeah. Dropped the series 2 out of 3 to the lowly White Sox? Yeah. You'll kick yourself about it. We'll forget about it we'll forget about it now. We'll move on. We'll go to the next game. But if something ends up happening, it's something we'll look back on eventually. Lance McCullers returned today. Let's give some thoughts on him, and let's talk about the importance of the Brewers series now that the Astros have dropped this series to the White Sox. That's next here on the Locked On Astros Postcast. First, though, we need to tell you about, your money. Monarch Money. You ever check that bank account and wonder where did all that money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment? It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling those multiple apps, you use that Monarch app to check your finances, track that spending, and plan long-term goals. And managing your money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Before we get back to our Astros discussion, one more message for you guys here. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives business flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day, multiple qualified candidates to choose from right there for you. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable, top-tier freelancers to scale your business efficiently. Visit Upwork.com right now and post a job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Well, the Astros went to Chicago. They had a rough time on Friday. They had a great day on Saturday, and they finished it on Sunday with was looking like was going to end up being a nice, easy win. And it turned out the exact opposite. Bullpen implodes, the rain moves in, and oh, what do you know? Game called. Sucks. And now the Astros get the gift of not only this, I'd be ticked, but they're going to get luxury of luxury. They got to go sit on a bus. They're busing to Milwaukee after this game, like 2 hours to Milwaukee because traffic there in Chicago. If you've never been to Chicago, I've been lucky. I've been to I can't count how many of the major cities in our country. I don't know if I hate traffic more than any place. Well, it's LA or Chicago. Those two are just it's otherworldly. You can just sit and sit and sit and sit and go nowhere. We do that in Houston, but it's crazy there. So they're going to bus up to Milwaukee. It'll take a while in the rain, and they get to sit and stew over this one. One guy that did come back today was Lance McCullers. And Lance McCullers has not pitched in over 900 days in a big league game, 2022 World Series. You know, I'm sure the emotions, the adrenaline were crazy and were real. 3 2/3, didn't end up giving up any runs, so, was able to limit the damage. 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. Wasn't incredibly sharp. You could see he and Victor Caratini not always on the same page back there because, well, Lance McCullers has never thrown to Victor Caratini in a game. If you paid attention, you can clearly see the differences in Lance McCullers between now and the last time that you saw him. If you did not watch him at all in spring training, he has changed his delivery quite a bit. It is more of a short arm type of approach. He used to go way back there and, come around, and it was always difficult for hitters to pick up. He's really tightened it up in hopes of putting less work, less force on the arm, and really being able to extend out and get on top of those pitches and, be effective that way. That's the mechanics of the sport that I just love. I love trying to figure out how everybody works and how everybody throws. And he's having to do something different because the way that he's thrown for all those years just wasn't healthy on his arm. And we're seeing, the end result of that. So hopefully he stays healthy. I'm not going to really, freak out or anything about how his performance went today. He managed his stress that he induced today. And I think that is an important thing. Just getting your feet wet back in a major league game against major league hitters, even if it's against a bad team that, hey, beat you today. That's all that matters. And it was great to see him back out there on the mound. They need him to be great. Maybe not great, but they need him to be good. They need him to be Lance McCullers. Because when he is going, he is a guy that is really hard to hit. So, overall, I thought it was fine. Not good, not bad, but fine. Taking steps, baby steps, each start forward now. The Astros can't take baby steps in the next one. They're off to Milwaukee now, like I mentioned, busting up to Milwaukee for the next 3 days. 6:40, 6:40, and 12:10 this week for the start times. As with any 12 o'clock game in the middle of the week, I cannot tell you if we will do a show or not until the day before. If we can, we will. Hopefully we will. Tomorrow, it will be Ronel Blanco up against Tobias Myers. Tuesday, Hayden Wesneski up against Chad Patrick. And then Wednesday, Fromber will go against Quinn Priester in the finale. The Astros are playing a team in Milwaukee that has not, been great. They are 17-18. I actually watched a little bit of them the other day. I think they were getting their butts handed to them by the White Sox like this week. You just dropped 2 of 3 in a series that you shouldn't have dropped 2 of 3 in. Again, a little bit unlucky to not be able to finish out the baseball game. You feel good about the Astros' chances of putting together some at-bats there late to try and make things interesting. But simply, as simple as it gets, you got to go to Milwaukee and take at least 2 of 3 in that one. So it's an important series. You can't go drop 2 of 3. You can fall below 500 if you go and do that, right? Yeah. Or be back at 500 if you go and do that, whatever it is. I'm not trying to do math off the top of my head. We'll see what happens. Join me tomorrow night when the game wraps up. It'll be a little bit earlier, of course, with the 6:40 start. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Don't forget, later tonight on the Locked On Sports Houston YouTube page, go over there, hit subscribe. Join me for Rockets-Warriors Game 7 reaction. We need a win. We need a win in the city of Houston after this. Y'all enjoy the